Good morning, everyone. This is Debbie Royce, Statewide LDC's Acting Corporate Secretary. I'd like to welcome everyone to this morning's meeting. We ask that if you're not speaking, if you could please mute your lines. We'll begin today by taking a roll call of the directors to ensure a quorum for the meeting. Kevin Eunice.
Unmuted and here.
Thank you. Edwin Lee.
Present.
And Kathleen Mize.
Present.
Okay, thank you so much. Kevin, you have a quorum, so you can begin. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Debbie. Good morning, folks. Before I call the meeting to order, I'd like to note for the record that I will serve as the acting chair for today's meeting. I would now call to order the meeting of the directors of the Statewide Local Development Corporation for Tuesday, December 15th, 2020. Before we get started, I'd ask everyone to make sure you mute your phones, and for the record, that anyone wishing to speak, state their name before they begin speaking. I'd like to also note for the record that due to public health concerns and as authorized by an executive order of the governor, this meeting will be conducted by teleconference. I will also note that the public was given the opportunity to comment on the agenda items by submitting their written comments by 9 a.m. today, and no comments were received concerning today's agenda items. The directors have received the relevant written materials in advance and are free to ask questions at any time. Before we begin with the substantive portion of the meeting, I'd also like to ask the directors whether anyone has any potential conflicts of interest with respect to items on the agenda. If so, I would ask you to make an appropriate disclosure on the record at this time, and we will make sure you recuse yourself from any vote or discussion of that item. Hearing none, our first order of business is the approval of the minutes for December 10th, 2019. Oh my God, it's been a year. All right. The 2019 directors meeting. I'd like to again remind everybody to please state the names before speaking if there are any comments, questions, deletions, or additions.
Kathleen, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
All right. All right. Do I have a second?
Edwin, I'll second that.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. I'd like to call Ray Salaberios to present the one and I guess the only substantive item on today's agenda, which relates to a request for authorization to make a real estate loan with the New York Job Development Authority proceeds to Project Span, Inc. Good morning, Ray.
Good morning, Kevin. Good morning, directors. The report in front of you concerns a proposed New York Job Development Authority real estate loan in the amount of $1,340,000. The JDA loan is to be used towards the purchase and renovation of real property located in Brooklyn, New York. Total project cost is $3,350,000. Project Span, a New York State certified minority women-owned business enterprise, was established in 2003 to provide project support services for the transportation infrastructure industry, including providing signals, communication, and traction power systems. Much of the work that Project Span does is directly for the MTA, or sub-work for companies that do work for the MTA, like Boyce Technologies. An example of some of the work that Project Span produces is signal track cases for the MTA. They produce signal track cases for the MTA. These cases house the automatic block signaling and the automatic train stops that are vital during the function of the day-to-day operations of the subway system. The New York City transit system opened in 1904, and much of the upgrading of the needed equipment was completed between 1930 and 1960. Therefore, replacement parts have to be custom made. This is where Project Span found a niche market to work directly with the MTA. Nelly Torres is the founder and president of Project Span. Nelly brings over 20 years of experience to all aspects of construction operation and has extensive knowledge in public infrastructure projects. Nelly is actually a case study for determination and drive. In a male-dominated industry, she started directly after graduating from high school, working her way up from secretary through project management to ultimately part of the management team of the company she worked for. In 2003, Nellie decided to go out on her own, and she established Project Span. She went through the New York State MWB certification process and went to work, looking for work. Early on, during that period, in the early 2000s, the selecting of MWBs for construction projects was rife with fraud. Majority-owned firms would pay certified MWB firms to use their names and do the work themselves. But this came to a quick halt, and eventually what we found were companies now had to go to MWBs to do the work, and Nellie's company, because of the specialty and the expertise she had in her field, her company grew and grew in a very great pace. The project includes the acquisition of the property located at 197 Waverly Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. Upon acquisition of the property, Project Span will renovate the building to accommodate the company's business activities. The building will consist of a shop and office, and the entire roof needs to be replaced, and the bricks require pointing. The company will be outfitting a full office area in an open floor plan, a conference room, a kitchen, a few dedicated offices for executive team members on the second floor. So what was once an apartment will become dedicated office space for the executive team members. This project has direct benefits for Project Span, as it currently rents a warehouse in Greenpoint in Brooklyn. And due to the proximity of New York City, this makes it easier for Project Span to complete work and send out the materials necessary to get their work completed. Based on a 1A rating, Project Span currently generates sufficient cash flow from operations to service the projected debt. With a projected debt service coverage ratio that meets the JDA's minimum standard of 1.20, and with default risk based on the company's performance over a 3-year historical period is low. Cash flow projections indicate the company will be able to service the debt going forward. In addition, JDA will have a second lien position on the real estate collateral and will receive a personal guarantee from Nellie Torres. There will be sufficient security for JDA to be completely collateralized. Project Span meets JDA's loan requirement of 90%, and Project Span expects to create at least 7 full-time permanent jobs within 3 years. Thank you, and I will answer any questions that come up at this moment.
All right, thanks, Ray. Any questions from the directors or the public with regard to this item?
Hey, Ray, just one question on the three new accounts, the contracts that were won. Are they all with one vendor, or are they with different companies?
They're with the MTA.
Okay.
So the MTA, I know that there was concern in the industry about where the MTA is going, but these contracts are signed pre-pandemic, and they total $15 million. But the expectation is that the MTA, which we know the MTA is saying they have a $12 billion ask in Washington, and from what I understand, the Senate Minority Leader is projecting a $4 billion down payment to help them get through the crunch, and then the rest of it, or some portion of the rest, will come later on. So we expect that Project Span will be able to continue working and continue progressing as it's doing now.
Great. Thank you, Ray.
Thanks, Ray. Ray, is the project completed?
Not yet. No, they haven't started yet. We have to wait for the bank. We have to wait for the appraisal to come in, and then we will come in from the bank. We're going forward with our process, and then once we get them a commitment and get the PACB approval, we will then allow them to continue the project, to start the project.
So the photos of the new facility are, and the board materials are what?
Well, you have photos of the facade, and then what we wanted to show was how the company currently operates. So if you look at the materials, you'll see that you have some open floor space, but then you'll see mostly just what's going on now in Project Span. The folks working there and the kind of stuff that they do. John Evan and I went to visit the company. This is the second time the company has come to us for funds. The first time, the first building fell through. So in that period, John Evan and I went out to visit the company, met Nelly, did a walkthrough, and we feel very comfortable that the company is on solid ground.
Got it. All right, any further questions?
And Ray, real quick, what's the extent of the renovations then? Because the pictures that Kevin was referring to there seem like it's a pretty complete space.
Yeah. So they have to renovate upstairs, because upstairs was being used as an apartment. So that needs renovation. They need to convert that into office space and a conference room. Now, we have been very clear with the owner that JDA does not finance residential projects. So prior to anything is done, one of us, probably me, will go out there to make sure the project has been completed in a manner which is satisfactory to JDA.
Got it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ray. All right. As noted earlier, we did not have any public comments. So I would entertain a motion for approval if there's no further questions. And again, please state your names before speaking.
It's Edwin. I'll make that motion.
Can I get a second?
It's Kathleen, I'll second it.
All right, all right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. There being no further business, may I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
All right, all right. Thank you, everyone, for participation in today's meeting. Have a good one, and happy holidays.
Yes, same to you.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Evan.
Ray.
Bye,
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay. Bye.